Hello, so today I'm joined by Jake Thornton. He has dropped in to us here in our little Nottingham base and landed this gigantic box in my lap. Boom! Baby!
Boom!
Boom! We are, of course, going to take a look at Deadzone. So, Jake, what a box, man. Feel the weight of that thing.
Yep.
So it's...
Nice rattle.
Deadzone is a standalone, it's a board game for 2 players, but it's a bit
miniatures game.
But it's a bit more than a board game. But I don't think it's any less than a miniatures game. It's a strange one. It's interesting.
A bit of a hybrid, yeah. It's sort of bits of it's tried to take the best of both worlds and have its cake and eat it at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Well, in this video, we're just going to have a look through the box. Show it off to you guys, get Jake to tell us a little bit about some of the bits and pieces that's in it, and really just give you an idea of what you get when you pick one of these up. So there's the box, lovely piece of artwork on the front, and right the way around to the back, you get a nice view of your gaming setup, and everything you see there is in the box. We'll just get that on camera there for you to have a quick look at. So Jake, let me slide this open.
Yep.
Very nice. And one of the key features of Deadzone is its terrain.
Yep.
It's got proper plastic terrain right in the box. It's like
geek Lego.
It's like geek Lego.
Yep.
Before we get to that though, I want to whip this little piece of joy out here. This is what becomes your board. It's your gaming table. And it's made of a lovely kind of it's like a screen printed neoprene type thing. It kind of feels like a cross between a mouse mat and a wetsuit. And it smells like one too, but not like a worn one, like a fresh one before it's been worn.
Fresh wetsuit.
Like a fresh, brand new wetsuit. You'll notice I'm scrumpling it up and you're probably at home going, "Ah!" And if you had worked with other gaming mats out there, you couldn't do that. But with this one, it just goes lovely and flat again. That's such a QVC moment there, isn't it? I'm almost embarrassed with that. And you get this smelly neoprene mat, not for $5.99, not even for $4.99. No, it folds flat. And let me show you some of the details on it here. So it's screen printed. It has blood and the likes on it. So let me get you a blood splatter. There you go. There's a blood splatter. That's where somebody met their end. It's got other little details like cracked concrete, which you can see just over here. Pull that across.
The close cam.
There we go. So concrete.
Yeah.
It's got
spent casings, manhole covers.
Manhole covers.
Yeah.
So it's loads and loads of lovely details on there. So we'll move that to one side. What size is it? Is it exactly...
It's 2 foot, exactly.
So it's 2 by 2.
8 squares by 8 squares, and each square is 3 inches. And we'll come back to why it's 3 inches in a minute.
Okay. If somebody wanted to play on a bigger surface, could they pick up multiple boxes of Deadzone and put them together and play on a bigger surface?
I think you'd be able to get these separately as well. And so they all fit together. There's been, if you look on Mantic's blog, they've got some photographs of people setting up several of these next to each other, and they all fit very nicely together. And they've got a non-slip backing as well. So
when it's down,
it stays in one place. It really doesn't want to go anywhere.
Yeah. Which for any of you backers of the Mars Attacks, it's using a similar kind of thing as well.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
We use exactly the same factory producing the same stuff, because it just does a really nice job.
Yeah, it just works.
You can scrumple it up and you can just fold it up, chuck in your gaming bag, go down the club. It doesn't matter how crumpled it gets.
Yeah.
It comes out.
Because it will roll.
It rolls, yeah.
It obviously scrumples.
Back to QVC.
Yeah. So it's nice.
Put it you could carry it in a cardboard tube.
Yeah. Or you just scrumple it up and, like me, just sniff at it and smell its freshness. It's lovely. Okay, we'll put that down there.
Might need that in a minute.
Moving swiftly on, we will dig it back out.
Okay.
We'll dig it back out, and I get to sniff it again. That's great.
Okay.
So, moving swiftly on.
Scenery.
This is one of the massive big points of Deadzone, and something that we're all very excited about. are the scenery sprues. So in the box, let's try and work out how many different scenery sprues you get. So there's 2 are the same there. There's another 2.
So this is the accessory sprue here. Yep.
That's accessories.
So you've got barrels and crates and ladders and
There's
gubbins.
another 2.
Yep. With
And
doors.
there's another
Yep. Basic walls and barriers.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of that kind. And then this little one, which is for all the connectors. So 6 different sprues, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in total.
You get the big box lid?
Yep, let me just get the other one.
There's a picture on this side. Camera of all of the. Pick them close up. These are all of the different elements you get, shown at quarter size. Just so you can see quite how many different pieces you get.
Yeah.
Of your geek Lego.
So let's start putting them under the camera here so as we can get a look at them. So you're right, it's 5 different kinds of sprues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep.
But 12 individual sprues in total. So let's start with
That's the basic one.
This is the basic sprue. So on this sprue here, we have walls. Okay, but I say walls, but some of them could be floors or ceilings.
This is the thing. The whole system is designed on a 3x3 inch cube setup, a template. So the 3-inch squares you get on the mat fit these exactly.
Yeah.
Or these fit the squares exactly. And so some of the pieces work better as doors. So there's a door piece which has got the space for a doorway in it. But a lot of other pieces could be this piece here, could be a floor. But you could equally well make it into a wall. Same with this. Any of the solid pieces, you could that could be a hatch through the floor as well as it could be a window. So
here we have
a lot of it's very flexible.
Kind of a cross beam here. Again, it's just because there are so many components, and there's a whole bunch of components that are additional to this that you can buy separately now for up-armoring your buildings and giving it more armor and stuff.
Or if you were on the Kickstarter, I mean, lots of Kickstarters pledges got the. Yesterday was the Mantic Open Day, and the Kickstarter pledges were picking up their pledges with the armored sections as well.
Here we have kind of support pieces here as well that you can use to connect to wall or whatever pieces together. So that's your standard sprue, of which you get 5. Next up we have this one here, which is a door. Well, it's got doors here. It's got a door sprue or a door frame. It's got window. It's got more of these buttresses, and then 2 floor tiles or ceiling tiles, if you will. It's entirely up to you. The details on them are great. They're gonna take paint great. You could, as simple as prime these things, dry brush them. They're going to pick up dry brushing detail beautifully. Or if you want to have a go at them with an airbrush, you could do some pre-shading where you go around all the kind of the details with a dark color and then go loosely over the whole thing with a number of translucent coats to just give you a nice pre-shaded effect. So it's going to be, you could spend as much time or as little time as you want painting these things, and it should work great. On the door frame, on the next sprue, is quite interesting because you actually have a door which fits the door frame itself. So the door frame has kind of a little hook and catch on it just there. And when you clip out the door just hooks on it. And so you can have it with the door on or the door off. On this frame are half floor pieces as well, so there's...
You can use them as walkways. Yeah.
Yep. You could have
between levels if you want.
Or you could use them as balconies or anything else. And here we have kind of what would we call these there?
They're more sort of buttresses, more supports. But depending which way up you use them, you can use them to support balconies, like you were saying.
Yeah. So they could be used to support balconies coming out on the upper levels, or walkways, or you could have them flipped over, in which case they're kind of supports onto the ground, you know. So it's some great pieces here, some lovely detail in this particular piece here where there's a lovely texture on the floor aspect of it. Next up, we have the accessory sprue. And on the accessory sprue, Jake, what have we got here? So
we've got
there's a ladder here. Yeah.
We've got more of the buttresses here. We've got some railings, so sort of safety railings and walkways.
Yeah.
Someone needs something to stop people falling off all the time. We've got some barrels and some crates that go together here.
So I'll just show you the other side of the crates.
And this, which is a sort of a mast or an aerial or something like that. And several of these you'll see have also have connectors on the back, like the ladder that you can use to join pieces together, and this over here as well. So it's actually it's part of the aerial.
Part of the aerial. The beauty of it is it's an entirely modular sci-fi building set. Everything has been designed on this 3-inch cube idea, which means that everything is compatible with everything else.
Yep.
And you don't need glue to put this stuff together. And let me demonstrate. Before we started filming, I clipped a couple of spare sprues that I had to just have a play with it and see what it was like. And I came up with, in about 5 minutes, so not an awful lot of care and attention put into this, but I just wanted to get the feel of, did it feel a bit like the heady days of Lego where you just started clipping it together. I came up with this. So on this, you can see that I've put together some walls, I've used some buttresses, and I have floor pieces on the top here. And it's just using the little connectors. This is the door piece that I had mentioned earlier, where you've got a separate door, and the door just simply kind of clips on, hooks on like that, and then bang, the door is in situ. What I like about it is the flexibility and the exploration of it all.
Yeah.
The fact that because everything is compatible with everything else, you want to take time to kind of experiment with it and see, oh, I wonder what would this look like if these two bits were together, and floors suddenly become walls and walls become floors, and you can do all sorts of cool stuff with it. The beauty of the fact that you don't need glue to put it together, it comes with little clips. So it'll quite happily clip together, which is this sprue here. So some of the pieces have their clippy bits built in, but you also have this sprue, which has components for clipping at right angles and clipping walls that are adjacent to each other. So all the clips that you need for this particular set are in there. The great thing about it all clipping together, for me, is it allows you to be able to experiment and play with the thing, which I thought was brilliant, because I was able to play with it, and it's not like terrain where you can't dry fit it, you have to kind of glue it together. This you can dry fit whole buildings together, or components or modules together. And then if there's ones that you particularly like, go ahead and drop some super glue on it and just solidify it up.
I think this works with plastic cement as well. I think that's one of the 32.
Well, it's a hard plastic, so you'll be quite happy using any of the Revel plastic cements on that. So plastic cement or super glue, either will work fine on that. It's just a case of, you can build what you want.
Yeah.
Make sure you're happy with it, and then if you decide to, you can glue it together. If you don't want to, you don't have to glue it together. You can always pop it apart.
You can assemble what you like, play a game over it. That building works, that building doesn't. We'll keep that one, we won't keep that one. We'll take this apart, put it back together a different way, maybe get some extra bits in, try it again, have another game, see what happens. And I can see what I expect to be doing with this is assembling some pieces and leaving some other bits loose. So it speeds up the assembly for a whole when I want to play a game. I can get the main chunks out, as it were. And then I can still make each setup different by having some loose bits I can just clip in here and there when I'm. I also, what I keep finding myself doing with this stuff, I haven't, because it hasn't been been back long from the factory, I haven't had much of a play with it. What I keep doing is sorting it out into sets, because there's lots of different kinds of detail and different things. I keep trying to say, well, if I get all of these pieces, all the sort of gird reconstruction things, well, if I get 4 of them and I use that as a layer, and then I build another kind of thing on top and I start making a tower, and things like that, and I sort of theme the different buildings by using the different textures, and some some might have floors as walls instead, sort of gritty pattern that we've got here. or this kind of a very open, simple, sort of gridded pattern that's actually a floor piece theoretically, but I quite like that for the side panels of playing sort of administration buildings or something that's not supposed to be fancy and exciting. It's supposed to be functional and straightforward. So, you know, and then if you get some stenciling of, you know, letters or numbers or names or whatever, you know, like admin block on the side of it, you know, and you can just see how this could really come up very nicely as, you know, you dry brush or airbrush on to get the sort of core color of it, and then a couple of little details, you know, some stenciling, some decals, water slide transfers, whatever. You can really, you know, bring it up quite nicely.
Make it pop. Yeah. One of the other things that had occurred to me, any of you guys that are into your kind of sci-fi-esque kind of dungeon crawler type things, is we're all building buildings like this, but if you turn them like that, you have amazing corridors. So if you wanted, you could build a corridor complex with this stuff just quite easily, and just move your miniatures and whatnot around that. And I think that would be very sick. So I think that would be really nice.
Well, actually, if you use this as the floor, you'd have 1 inch squares.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. So it's almost like you thought of it.
Heavens, that would never do.
So yeah, if the scenery bit is excellent. There's a ton of it in the box, and there's tons of other things that you can do to keep adding to it, to make more and more just of anything. And I just love the flexibility of it, and it really does feel like geek Lego. Okay.
Well, another couple of points to make, just because Ronnie, I'm channeling Ronnie here.
All right. Okay. Yep.
Well, I haven't broken anything yet, but I'm not channeling him quite right. But one of the things Ronnie was saying that I think is a worthwhile point making is that a lot of the people who play games, myself included, aren't so good at making scenery. So your tabletop never quite looks as good as you really have in your mind's eye, and you see in the magazines and all the rest of it. And there's a tiny percentage of people who are really good at building stuff.
Yes.
And who are almost envious of these people who are really good. And you just sort of think, oh, I just knocked this together, this entire Arabian fort together this afternoon while I was waiting for you. And you go, how'd that happen? But this enables people like Ronnie, like myself, who aren't terribly good at building stuff in terms of buildings and so on, to get a set of things together for either for Deadzone or for a science fiction game of any sort. And it gives you the core of a set of buildings, and quite a lot of detail in a number of places, that you can be very pleased with, looks very nice, paints up nicely, but doesn't cost the earth and doesn't take you a long time to do. This was 5-10 minutes work, and just playing with it. And I saw you taking it apart and putting it back together and the rest of it.
And it doesn't require an amazing vision in advance. No, you can buy this stuff.
You sort of build it as you go along.
Play with it, and out of your play will come something, whatever it may be, and you may like it, in which case, great. Or you may say, no, I'm going to change that. And it all just clips back apart again, and you go and play with it again.
But of course, the people who are already really good at this sort of stuff, are building things. Now you can use this to sort of, it's like standing on a box, So they've got all of this framework and basic core construction of shapes of buildings.
Yes.
And then they can layer on piping systems, details, shop signs, and furniture,
start to take it that
and
extra
really
level.
Go the extra level. There's a sort of core shape. I think I can see an awful lot being done with this. So,
it gives you the opportunity to do the big underlying canvas quickly. You're moving very quickly to the super detailing stage.
It's just sort of 80-20. You give 80% of the final thing in very, very simply. And then, because obviously if you want to do a super detailed, fine, perfect diorama level thing, you still need to build a basic box of the building and do your basic detail shape and so on. You still need to do all that. And this will do that for you out of the packet. So yes. Anyway,
resounding thumbs up from us from on the terrain. It's been we obviously saw it during the Kickstarter, but actually getting to play with it in real life, there's really good weight to this, guys. It's this is good quality plastic. It feels like a quality product. It looks great, and I think with just a little bit of technique, this stuff will basically paint itself. Okay, let's see what some of the other couple of big components are in the box. Do you know what? Before that, I want to quickly show you one thing here. I'll put it down on the actual terrain there, or on the gaming mat, so as you can see it, and get a quick look at that. And
the wrong way up.
It just...
What doesn't really matter?
It doesn't matter anymore. It's you could have it like that. You could have it like that. There's just so many options with it. So I'll just put that there just to see it. It's well made. It's just really well made. So excellent. Right, moving on. What else do we have in the box here? So we also have a sheet of counters. Now, Jake, could you help me identify some of these counters so as we can get a rough idea of what they're for?
Okay, you've got a few types of things. You've got in-game counters down here, which are mutation counters for the plague, the lurid pink ones. Blood splats, people who get shot.
Yep.
You've got a lot of activation counters, and these are suppressed. These ones here, when people are very, very unhappy about things. You've got objective markers here, so they're blank. They're all the same on this side, but on the other side they're different. So you can see there, X-ray, Yankee, and Zulu with three different objectives. I see most of these counters have got different things on the other side.
Yeah.
These ones, these blue and green are both item counters. So the difference is that the green ones, the square green ones, you randomize and put on the battlefield to start with. So they on the other side are all just a crate.
Right.
So you don't know what they are.
Yes.
So you randomize them, and you've got a set of 16. You put eight on the table, so you don't know what you've got.
Yeah.
Even if you memorize the whole set, you don't use all of them, so you don't know which ones you've got, and you don't know where they are. So you can pick up the odd bit of equipment that's lying around on the battlefield, but you're not sure what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And it could be booby trapped.
Very nice.
These blue ones are for during the campaign game. You can buy equipment for your strike team, and so that's just to remind you that you've got these bits of equipment on particular models.
Yeah.
So there's a whole variety, and they've got different things on the other side, so you can just keep the face up of what it is, but it means you can get more variety with a bigger set. So there's a bunch of things here that allow you to keep track of a model's situation and status during the game.
Yeah.
Has it been this turn? Is it suppressed? Is it happy? And then there's a whole bunch of kit that you can kind of tool out guys with to make them, give them grenades, give them medipacks.
Okay, also in the box, let me just move that to one side, we have the Deadzone rulebook. So all nice and glossy, with a nice full color art, and doesn't smell as good as the fresh wetsuit there, but it's how many pages is it going to be easy for people to pick up?
I think so, yes. I mean, there's a demo scenario we've done. We haven't got the paper map, but we've got there's a demo scenario that uses just a few of the models, so that you can use only some of the stats. That's wrong card on the top of that pack. And that will help. So I think that'll be online as well.
Yeah.
And they're doing some more gameplay videos, so you'll see how that works. It's one of like every other game in the world. If your mate teaches you, it's a lot easier than if you have to read the rulebook yourself. Okay. And I think that's just true of this. It's the core of it is fairly straightforward. I think there looks to be a fair amount of.
Is there a fair amount of background in this book as well, just to kind of set the scene?
There's some. There's not enormous amounts. There's enough to give you the flavour.
Because one of my favourite bits is Deadzone's kind of set out in the outer edges. It's all the exploration, isn't it?
Yeah.
And one of the great things, like all this terrain that we're looking at, that they are effectively the containers that all the equipment land in, and then the containers are popped apart and then reconfigured into buildings and other structures.
The piece
and
I
stuff
wrote
like
about
that
is in the I used to call them habitainers because they're like habitation blocks.
Habitainers. That's a good idea.
So when you're shipping stuff across the planetary, you don't want to waste any space. So they're all. That's one of the reasons why they're in cubes, because it makes sense that you build these things in fixed formats, so that you could ship out whatever you need to ship out.
Yeah.
And then the shipping container itself becomes the basis of you building, habitation blocks, sanitary, whatever you want to do. So I think that kind of makes sense in terms of how you would really do it as well.
Yeah.
So it does in my head anyway.
Okay, we also have a couple of decks of cards. There's the Enforcer stat cards and the Plague stat cards. There's two forces in the box.
That's right, yes.
Enforcers and Plague. I will give you that one to open, and I'm going to crack these open. Do we have a quick look?
Yes, the endless, impossible how you open a pack of cards. Amuse yourself for a minute. Yeah, somewhere in here is a tag that you just pull and it all comes off very easily. Yeah. In the game, you will find...
There's no point trying to fill dead air. We're dying here.
We're dying. I was going to say, well, yes, that is true. We are dying, but you know. What I was going to say was, one of the things about this is so well packed, isn't it? It's so well packed.
I'm in.
Did you want an outtake?
I'm in.
Did you want an outtake?
I'm in. We've done it. Jake, down to you. Pressure's on now.
I can't do this when I'm laughing, you know. I can't do it. I'll best give it to you, shall I?
No, keep going.
The expert.
Keep going. You can do it.
Open your swine. There you go. Yeah, so we're in.
He's in.
He's in.
He's made it.
Yeah, the plague would have conquered the planet, but they couldn't open the pack of cards.
Okay, so we have 2 decks of cards, Jake. They're all...
We have 2 decks of cards.
We have missions,
Yep.
okay?
We have missions.
And then there are...
Battle cards.
Battle cards.
Yep.
Here, yeah. And then these seem to be the stat cards.
Yep, that's right.
So let me get them all in. So mission cards, battle cards, and stat cards. Which one will we start with? The stat cards? Does it make more sense if you go one direction as opposed to the other, or can we describe them?
Well, I think stat cards, everyone understands what stat cards are about. It's got the stats on it for the model, so which kind of is fairly plain.
So here we have a stat card for a Peacekeeper Captain.
Yep.
Okay. Across the top, we can see, obviously...
There's basic stats across the top.
Can you tell us what they are? So this is bullets.
Shooting.
Shooting.
The fist is fighting.
Uh-huh.
The sort of red cross with a heart in it is survival.
Yeah.
So it's your health. The breastplate, as it were, is armor.
Mm-hmm.
And the squiggly starburst is your command level.
And that's your command level.
Yep.
So how does that roughly work in game?
How does that work in game? Well, if you're familiar with Dreadball, the idea of you roll a number of dice and you get a success based on your comparing that roll to your stat.
Yes.
That's the same principle used here. So if I just pick myself a few dice, if I can find some dice, some more dice.
There you go.
So we've got, if I was shooting with this particular character, he needs 4+.
Yeah.
You'll notice I'm rolling d8s. If I roll 3 of those, I've got a success because that's more than 4, a success because that's more than 4, a success.
Okay.
And I'll roll the 8 up because 8s roll up.
So you've got exploding 8s.
I've got exploding 8s, so that's a success. And I roll another one, but that doesn't count, so that's less than 4.
Okay.
So the 4 doesn't ever change. That doesn't go up or down. There's no modifiers on that. The only modifiers are to the number of dice you roll.
So 3 as standard.
3 is standard.
And then there's modifications to say you get an extra dice or you lose a dice.
That's right.
Okay. So it's kind of like Dreadball. I love that.
Yep.
That in Dreadball, yeah.
Well, people have found that very easy to understand. They've found that very easy, intuitive once they've played it, once they've seen it.
Yeah.
They just go, oh, okay. And by the time you've shown someone 2 turns of Dreadball, they're going, so I roll.
Yes.
They're guessing what they need to do, and they're being right.
Yeah.
Which of course is great for me because it means that they've learned, they've understood, they've kind of it's fitted that. So we've gone with that same basic concept, but we've gone from 6s that we used in Dreadball to 8s because we want the extra variability in stat line because we've got loads in Dreadball. Each team has 3 or 4 players at most.
Yes.
And each race has its own stat line. So a whole team can have the same stat line.
Yes.
In this, we've got 15, potentially we're going to end up with 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 models in an individual faction, many of which have different stats. So we need the extra variability, because if you've got a D6,
you can the variability is only in 2, 3, 4, and 5. So
yes,
4 degrees of variability.
So by having an 8, you go and get 2 more. So it's 50% extra variability.
Yes.
And we tried it with I tried it with 6s, 8s, and 10s. And 10s just seemed like it was unnecessary.
Yes.
We didn't need that.
Too much.
We didn't need that. Yeah, it was too much. So I thought, okay, well, 6 isn't quite enough. 8, 10's too many. So,
go with
like Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Just right.
8 was just right.
Also
So
on
we
the
went with
card,
8.
we have the points cost for this particular guy and what he is. He's a leader.
He's a leader. There's 3 categories to do, partly to do with the building an army. You're a leader, you're a specialist, or you're a trooper. And so that's interrelated to the way you build an army. So he's 29-point leader.
And there's a kind of a little diagram there with 2 dots on it, Jake. What's that?
That's how big the model is. There's a certain limit to how many models you can fit in a square.
Yep.
And or cube, which we don't want to get into the rules too much. But anyway, this chap, as you'll see, is smaller. He's a human-sized model, so he takes 1. That counts 1. Normal humans count one out of the.
So you can have
you can fit in a square.
up to 4. You can have up to 4 slots in a cube.
Yep.
Of which he takes 1 of those 4 slots.
Yep.
But
And he
my
would take
captain
2 because he's wearing a huge sort of massive armor.
Yeah.
Whereas the normal enforcers, you find a normal enforcer sergeant who's wearing
There he
normal
is
armor
there.
is 1. He's
He's
big
just
for a
1.
human, but he still only takes 1. This guy is huge.
Yeah.
So he takes 2. And there are models. The biggest of the plague, as you can see there, takes 3.
Yeah. Then beneath that, he has some special rules. So he has Overwatch, any action, abilities, discipline, strategist, tough, and Dominator
weapons.
Rifle. The
Wristblade.
details of his weapon.
Yeah. So we've got. Everyone has an Overwatch. Everyone has an abilities, which may be a slot for abilities, which may be nothing. They may not need any special ones. And then the weapons that they're carrying at the bottom. The Overwatch is interesting in Deadzone because normally in a game, Overwatch is you move in your turn and I can interrupt you to shoot. And in Overwatch, in Deadzone, I thought, well, if I'm an assault trooper, I don't want to shoot you.
Yeah.
But I might want to react to you in your turn. I might want to, so you come around the corner, I might want to do something. So what the Overwatch on the card says is, what can I do if I'm on
So
Overwatch?
that could say Overwatch shoot, because all
Yes.
you can do is shoot.
Yes.
But in his case, because he's really good, it says Overwatch any
be
action.
anything, yeah.
So he could do anything if it triggers an Overwatch.
Yep.
Which
So-
allows you to set booby traps and
So
ambushes.
this guy who is, can we get on a little?
Yeah, that's on there.
Yeah. So this guy's Overwatch reaction is move, which means that he sets himself on Overwatch. You come around the corner, he moves into the cube that you're in, which triggers a fight.
Yeah.
So if because he doesn't have a missile weapon, he's a melee specialist. So he can react by jumping out on you and ripping your head off.
I love that. That soul mechanic makes proper ambushes possible.
Yep. You can ambush people with melee troops rather than having to ambush them with missile troops.
Proper ambush. That's really nice. Oh, I like that.
So that's very simple. All it is it just tells you what their reaction, because it's an action-driven game.
Yeah.
You pick a number of actions. When you do an Overwatch, what can you do? And like you said, the really good guys get to pick anything. And other people are more specialized.
So you could end up in a situation where you're thinking, my opponent now is at a situation where he's going to have to be aggressive. He's going to have to come through this choke point.
Through this choke point, yeah.
I'm setting a bunch of guys up in Overwatch because it gives me the flexibility to set an ambush that is reactive to what you're actually doing. So it's not just a one size fits all type ambush, because I can do any action. I have a little bit of flexibility in what I actually do. So well, that's very nice.
And you wouldn't have to decide before he actually does the Overwatch, before it actually happens. I mean, this chap here, this one here, the Plague Dogs, their Overwatch is Sprint, which is move 2 cubes.
Yeah. If I put him in Overwatch, do I have to state what action he's going to take?
Nope.
I can choose that whenever it's triggered?
You put him in Overwatch, you mark him with one of the counters. When somebody does an action in your line of sight, then you roll a test.
Yeah.
3 dice, as usual. And you
Against
see
which stat?
that's against a fixed value.
That's against a fixed
Everybody
value.
rolls the same thing. And you roll a dice, and depending on what result you get, you react before they move, after they move, can choose between it, and you may or may not. This is the other thing that I quite like about this: is you may or may not keep the Overwatch counter.
Right.
Normally, most games, you do an Overwatch action,
It's gone.
it's gone.
Yeah.
But in this, you do an Overwatch action. Sometimes you get your shot off, or you get to react before they've gone anywhere. Because they may be firing, they may be doing something and then pulling back.
Yeah.
You may want to grab them before they go. They may be appearing from around the corner and running into your line of sight. So you want to wait until after they go. So the better you do in your test, the more choice you have about when they when
it
react.
takes place. Yeah.
And then if the better you do as well, the more chance there is if you get the really good result, then you get to keep your Overwatch marker.
Yeah.
So you do your Overwatch, and then you've got the marker there. So if someone else comes
right
up,
back down into Overwatch again.
So
yes. Yeah.
So that's what Overwatch does. Anyway, we were going through these before we got sidetracked. That's what Overwatch does. Abilities is a list of all of the special things that make that particular model different from anyone else. And this kind of concept that you've seen in many, many games. This particular, the Enforcer Captain, Peacekeeper Captain has Discipline, which is a disciplined strategist, and Tough, which make him a very good leader and very difficult to kill. The completely different one here, this Plague Hellhound, the Plague 3, is Mutant and Fast. Mutant means they can get mutations played on them to go do strange things. Fast means that they're very quick, as you'd expect.
I'm sure everything you're saying right now is entirely fascinating, but I cannot get ambushes out of my head. I'm just thinking, this game needs renamed. It needs to be called Ambushes of Awesomeness. So all the different, there's lots of different kinds of abilities and things, and it adds lots of flavor to these
different
guys.
Weapons, and everybody has different weapons that they're carrying, and so you just list whatever stats apply to that guy's weapons. So it means that there's lots of variations, lots of different abilities, there's lots of different weapons, but you don't need to worry about reading up and memorizing all of it because you've got these stat cards, and you have one stat card for each type of trooper. They're not per model. So if I've got one Enforcer, one Peacekeeper Captain, and then I've got 4 Enforcers, that was my fact. I don't need those 2 cards because that's all I'm just giving you as a reference. And it saves you having an army book where you're looking at.
You're only referencing what you need.
You're only referencing what you need. So similarly, I don't need to remember the rules that I haven't got in play.
Yes.
So the fact that I've got might have a flamethrower rules doesn't mean I need to worry about what the flamethrower rules are if I'm not happening to use them. I'm not using them. You're not using them. They're just skills that are in the book for more variation for other factions. It
also makes it dead easy for you guys to release additional models for this game because all they need is stat cards.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Moving on, I want to talk a little bit about what will we do, battle or missions?
Battle next. Let's look at battle next.
Okay. Yeah.
Battle is basically it's. Again, to use the dread ball analogy, it's the equivalent of getting an extra move kind of thing. They allow you to do. Each one has got 2 different things on.
Yeah.
And you
Let's just show you that.
You pick one or other of those things. So that's and this one is you get to either move, which is an extra action. Basically, you get an extra move action for one. You play it on one trooper. They do an extra move, or surge, which is discard this card and take 3 more battle cards instead. You throw that one away and take 3 extra ones.
Let's do that to see what we have. So if we threw that away, the next one that we could pick up would be +1 fight.
Yep. So you get 1 extra dice when you're doing a fight action.
Or courage.
Which is there's you have people are alert. That's the basic stat. Basic state is being alert, which is you're wondering how you're doing your thing. You're fighting. Above that, you become enraged, which means you get better at fighting, but you're slightly out of control. And below that, if you're worried, you become pinned. You lie the model down to show it's being pinned. It's not happy. It's staying where it is. And below that, below pinned, is suppressed, which is very much had enough, not going anywhere.
Yeah. Cowering in a corner.
Cowering in a corner. Yeah. Get mean is an action that moves you up 1 layer. Of that. So if you were pinned, you could play the get mean action or play that card. Yeah. And it moves you up to alert. So it stands up the model.
Yeah. Here we would have +1 shoot, which gives you 1 extra dice on your shooting.
And courage
again. And here we have courage and move. So in what circumstances do you get to pick up battle cards? They obviously sit face down.
Yep. You have a hand of them to start with, and the command stat of the leader of your strike team tells you how many you can draw at the end of the game, end of the round.
Of the round. So the command stat on my captain that we were looking at that
is 3/3.
So at the end of each round, he could draw 3 cards. Oh, draw up to 3 cards, or draw an additional 3 cards.
You draw the first number and keep the second number.
Gotcha. So at the start of the game, I would have, what, 3?
4.
I'd have 4 at the start of the game. I'd play a turn. How many battle cards could I play? Oops, a daisy.
Oops.
How many battle cards could I play normally during a turn?
You could potentially play all of them.
Right, we'll say I played 2 of them.
Yep.
I get to draw 3 at the end of the turn.
Yep.
Because I have 2, I'd get to keep 1 of them.
No, you keep all of them.
I keep all of them.
There's not a hand limit.
Ooh.
But you will play them. I mean, you will want to use more than you've got anyway. The thing is that some of the troop types have say 2/1 or 3/2.
Yeah.
So you draw the first number and keep the second number. So if I had 3/2 instead of 3/3, I would draw 3, and then I'd have to discard one of them.
Yes.
So I get to finesse.
So it's not a hand limit.
It's not a hand limit. It's a number you draw on the turn.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so then finally, we have mission cards.
Mission cards.
Again, everything that we have here, there's a different deck for each of the factions.
Yeah. Each faction has a different combination, or obviously different stats because they've got different models.
Yeah.
But their battle deck is different as well, with different emphasis on different things that is appropriate for that faction.
Yeah.
The missions, again, there is some. I mean, there's some overlap in all of these.
Yeah.
But the balance of missions is different. There's 8 mission cards for each faction.
And how do the mission cards work, though?
The mission cards are secret. At the beginning of the game, you pick a mission.
At random or?
At random.
Yeah.
And depending on whether you're playing campaigns or not, you can choose to forego your first one and try again.
Do a mulligan.
Do a second one. But depending on, it's slightly different in campaigns and one-off games. But basically, you get a secret mission.
Yep.
And you look at that mission and you're going to keep that one. And what the mission does is it tells you what you get victory points for.
Well, let me give you an idea. On this one here, the mission is called Purge.
Nice and simple.
And I have 3 goals beneath that. It says kill 1 to 6 points, I get 1 victory point. Kill 7 to 10 points, I get 2 victory points. Kill 11 points plus, and I get 3 victory points.
Right, and that points cost is per model. So if you kill a model that's worth 8 points, that's in the middle category, so that would be worth 2 VPs.
Gotcha. Or whereas if I killed...
if you killed the big guy who's worth 23 points, that's
I get 3 victory points. Yep. Okay. I also have in a little piece of writing, it says kill the opposing force, earn victory points per model killed, depending on its points cost.
So just a little reminder to explain what the kill means.
So that's a nice simple one.
That's a very simple one.
There are obviously more complex ones in here. Let me just have a look at this one. It's called X-Ray.
Yep.
Capture means you must have the only models in that cube.
Yep.
Control means the same as capture, plus there must be no enemy models in adjacent cubes.
Yep.
So if you can kill a specialist, you'd get 1 victory point.
If you remember the cards for the stat cards had, as well as points, it was leader, specialist, or trooper.
Yeah. Yep. If you kill a leader, you get 1 victory point. If you control X, you get 5.
That's objective X. Remember, there were 3 objectives:
yes.
X-ray, Yankee, and Zulu.
That's right. So they're put down.
Yep.
If you control Y, you get 2 points, and if you control Z for Zulu, you get 2 points. Yep. The other thing on these is you will. What are the little diagrams down in the corner?
Right. When you play the game, you take your mission each, and then you need to work out where you're going to deploy and who's going to start. So you each turn over a card. One of you turning over a card for deployment, which is this little diagram here.
Yes.
So you've set up the table. You've set up your scenery.
Yeah.
You've put the objectives out. You've put your mission. Put the stuff out on the table, and then you work out where you're going to deploy. So let's say I draw this one, and that's a normal.
Yeah.
As you would imagine, I line up on my edge, you line up on your edge.
And it says friend.
Well, that would be the other part of working out who goes first.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. So we'll come to that in a minute. If I draw on that one, we'll be playing sideways across the thing. That way, we're playing against opposite corners, and this is a little icon. It's got a proper description in the book that shows this in bigger detail with all the extra bits and bobs on. So that's how you work out deployment, and sometimes depending on the missions, that may make a difference for you. If you've got to exit off the other side, where that would be depends on obviously where you deploy your troops and where they deploy their troops. The friend and foe is simply if I draw it and I get friend, that means if I draw it for who goes first and I draw friend, that means I go first. If I draw it and I say so, you draw first.
You've built a lot of the engine, the random engine of the game, just straight into the cards.
Because when you've got your card deck, you've got 8 cards that aren't of which 6 or 7 aren't doing anything.
You may as well use them for something.
Yeah, so I've just drawn my secret mission, and in the game. When we're playing a game, I've got my mission, you've got your mission.
And we don't know each other's mission.
And we don't want that. That's the thing. That's the important thing here. So I don't know what your secret mission is. You don't know what my secret mission is. So I'm keeping track of, let's say I'm keeping track of kills. Yeah. I'm keeping track of which objective I've captured. But I might actually be trying to sneak my men off the other side.
Right. But you're making a big scene of these other things and you're making me think of that. Right.
So I would always count everything. There's a way of keeping track by basically you have your mission card sat in front of you, and you place the points, the things you kill and so on, capture and so on, around that to remind you what they're worth. Yeah. But it might all be nonsense because you might be doing a different mission.
Gotcha.
But you're just trying to fool the other guy because obviously what you're doing will look a bit like you're doing this or a bit like you're doing that, and that might be really what you're doing, and it might just be for show.
It all starts to get a bit subversive, doesn't it?
Yeah. But at the same time, the game ends when you get to a set number of victory points. That's when I tell you what my mission is. I go, look, I've won now.
Yes.
I have now achieved my mission because I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. And look at these are the things I've kept track of. And you go, oh dear.
Pants.
Pants. But you didn't know until that point, unless you were guessing,
just exactly what
I was up to. And this rules for...
The other thing in the box is a big collection of minis for both sides. And when we come back, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have a look at those. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the miniatures now. So, in the box, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags of miniatures, plus this mystery thing here that we'll open at the end and find out what's in it. You also get your bases. Let me just get them on screen there. So there's bases, you're all familiar with them, and your
Mantic
typical
bases,
Mantic 25mm. Bases there. So all stuff we have seen before, but the miniatures are brand new. So we'll just take a bag at a time. So in this bag here, what have we got, Jake?
That's Plague. That's Plague stage.
Now what can you tell me about the Plague faction?
The Plague faction. The Plague are mutants. They've been infected by an alien mutagen that turns them into... Mostly turns them into dead things. Yeah. But the few that it doesn't turn into dead things, it turns into sort of more warped monstrosities. Yeah. And you need the clippers. There you go.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, there's some scissors. So I'm just playing with these.
Playing with these. And they come in different flavors. The ones who are infected, because you're infected by an alien artifact at the beginning. Yeah. And that is the ones who are infected by that are the biggest and most dangerous of the plague. They're stage 1. Yeah. And they in turn attack, kill, and infect other creatures who are stage 2s, and they in turn infect other creatures who are stage 3s. And stage 3s aren't infectious. Right. So that's where the process ends. And but also the infection, as it were, is watered down as it goes through the stages. So that the people it takes over, the stage 1s are utterly taken over by this alien mutation. They're changed completely into something utterly different. There's nothing left of what human or whatever they were to start with. Yeah. And they are the biggest plague lords. We'll come to them in a minute. By the time it's got down to the 3s, the 2s also are taken over completely, but the 3s have vestiges of their their intellect and skills and life memories there, so they can use tools and use weapons and so on. And in terms of a danger to the space lanes, the threes are much of the problem, because some of them can remember how to pilot spaceships. So whilst when the initial breakout happens, you've got these big fighty monstrosities that go around and tear your heads off, and they're really dangerous.
Yeah.
But they're kind of contained on that one planet. Once the threes start moving around, then they may take some of the big boys with them somewhere else. So you can't just ignore the little guys, even though they're not infectious, because they're the ones who remember how to plant booby traps and fly spaceships.
They're dangerous.
So they're dangerous in other ways.
Yeah.
So you get an interesting mixture where the faction as a whole, even the threes are pretty nasty in a fight, but as a whole, they're mainly a melee faction. But they're not only a melee faction.
Yeah. Well, the models themselves they're made of restic, so that kind of plastic resin. There's a little tiny bit of cleanup that you would probably want to do to them, and they fit together really nice. There's tiny little gaps, but your glue is effectively going to cover most of that up. The details on them are sharp. And they're going to take paint, etc., pretty well, actually. So it's, So continuing on with the Plague faction, we have another bag of them here. Let's see what the difference is with this one. Are these guys the same kind of Plague troopers? Are these level... These look like level 2s to me.
No, these aren't level 2s. These are more level 3s. These are just different level 3s. That guy's got a heavy machine gun.
Okay, yeah.
Where was mine? There we go. There's a heavy machine gun arm. And there's more. This is a variety of different poses, because all the models in this game are individually posed. Because it's a game where individual models move around rather than squads.
Yes.
All the models are different, and they're all new. Well for this, so it's it's an interesting set of slight variations in not more than slight variations in pose and in detail of equipment, and because they've all kind of mutated themselves, huge burly shoulders on these guys. The kit they were wearing, because the 1s and 2s don't really have any equipment left on them, but the 3s have all got different bits left of the equipment they were wearing before
they were infected.
So they've got kind of torn shirts and suits, and some of them are bare-chested and so on. But the and with different weapons and what have you. So there's a mixed there. Again, more poses of the similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think the bagging is just what bits of sprues it comes off.
Yeah, so what goes together. So you want to be careful if you're opening this the first time. You don't want to mix it up too much, or it'll become a little bit of a jigsaw, perhaps, to try and put it together.
It's just for which arms go on which bodies and where the heads belong and so on. But the joins are keyed in different shapes.
They are.
So it's made relatively, when you're assembling it, you get a bag with 3 left arms on. You know which one goes where, because one of them fits and the other one's in the wrong shape.
So here we have
the big boys.
Some of the big boys.
Yeah, the big boys.
Okay, so let's start with this one here.
That's a 2.
So that's a 2. Now this guy here looks like he's leaping.
He's leaping over this bit of barricade.
So the barricade and the model become one piece with the arms or something.
He's on top of it.
He goes like that, does he? Yeah.
Not quite sure how that fits on, but so that's the there's that as well, part of the barricade.
Yeah.
There's 3.
So when they become level 2, they start to kind of up armor quite a bit, don't they? With almost like a carapace of sorts.
Think of it the other way around. They start as stage 1s, which is this guy. They start as very, very big and very heavily armored. And that's the pure version, the neat version of the alien mutagen.
Yes.
That's what it does to a normal human. That was a human before it was. And if you think this is this stage in comparison in size, that guy is even a mutated human. He's bigger than a normal human, and it's, he's twice the size he was. So hugely armored, external sort of carapacing. But by the time you get to the 2s are a watered-down version of that. So they're much bigger and more heavily armoured than humans, but they're not as heavily armoured as the 1s. And again, they've lost any amount of equipment or clothing or any interest in using any of that.
So would he infect a human, and then the result of that would be that?
Yep, that's right, yep.
And then if they infect a human, the result of that
is a 3.
Is a 3.
One of these, yeah.
And then a 3 is non-infectious.
Yeah,
okay,
that's right.
Right, yeah.
So the alien artifact is what causes the 1 to happen in the first place.
There's just a stack amount of detail on these. It's
There's loads of detail. I mean, if you just get one of the bits like that, his arm,
like even that arm, just let's bring that in so you can see that.
With the detail on his back.
So a bit of dry brushing, guys, and these are just going to pop. Okay, well let's move the plague just out of the way there for a bit. And then next up we have the corporations. Oh, there's dogs. There's dogs. We like dogs. So here we have a plague dog. Now, how do these guys operate in the game?
How do they operate? Well, they are fast and bitey. Basically, they're not terribly dangerous.
Are they infectious?
But they're stage 3 dogs rather than stage 3 humans.
Okay. Yep. Can you get a stage 1 dog?
Theoretically, yes.
That'd be cool. Okay.
We haven't got the models for that.
Yeah.
So in the official nomenclature for these things are stage 1s, 2s, and 3s, and they have a letter depending on what race they are. So a 1A is a human, stage 1. A 1D would be a dog, stage 1.
Yep.
So that's a 3D.
So they have their designations. That's a 3D.
But everybody just calls them hellhounds.
Hellhounds.
That's the sort of the troopers don't bother with, as long as the boss tells the head office, as long as they report the correct nomenclature so they can put it in their clipboards, then that's fine. On the ground, the troopers call these guys hellhounds.
Yeah. And they are fast and bitey.
Yeah, they're not terribly, terribly dangerous, but because they're so fast, they can swamp people.
Yeah.
And when they're busy biting someone, that person isn't providing covering fire for his mates. That person isn't, slowing down anything else that's coming in. And a lot of this is about some of the guys in playtest said, they're not very good. They're not as good as these guys. And you go, well, no, they're not as good as those guys.
Yeah.
But they have a different function.
Yes.
And they're cheap.
And fast.
Yeah. And a lot of the way that when you get good at Deadzone, a lot of this is about the synergy between the different troops and working as teams. So this guy lays down the smoke, that guy runs across this guy's providing sniping, covering fire, that guy's laying smoke, this guy's doing the assault.
Yeah.
They each can't do the other guy's job as well, but you've got to get them all working together as kind of cogs in the machine, and then you're very effective. So these guys, the dogs, they're not going to pull down the biggest of the corporation captains in his peacekeeper armor, but they will keep everybody else busy.
While a stage 1 goes in.
Well, the big guy comes along and
just trumps him.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, it's using them as combination. This gives you more variety. So what's next, boss?
On the corporation side, we have the first of the 2 corporation bags. Let me get that open.
Christmas all over it.
It is, isn't it? So here we have this. Looks like our captain here. So let's get him under camera. A captain is one of my favorite corporation models. I think he looks rather epic, actually. And I think the cape is for him, isn't it?
The cape is for him, yes.
So the cape just fits on nicely. Yeah. Obviously, there's a wee tab there that needs to be taken off, but the cape just fits on nicely, just like that. And I love the cape on this model because I think it just adds so much gravitas to it.
I'm not a fan of the cape. But
are you not? No, I love it.
But you don't have to put it on. You don't.
He's fine equally without it.
Yeah. I do like the model though. I think it's really nice. And I think you get 2 heads for him. One with a helmet and one with a faceplate up.
Well, the little box of bags of bits, so the heads and stuff are in there. They're almost too small, really, to show off to you guys. But you know what? That doesn't stop us trying. So
you got a pair of scissors then?
Yeah, they're ineffective compared to teeth. So let's see what head we've got in here. So there's yes, he's helmeted and unhelmeted. So there he is, I believe, helmeted there. So if you check that out, we can see him with the helmet on.
That's the helmet off.
And then with the helmet visor
helmet visor up.
Raised, he looks a bit like that. So let's bring that in so you can see.
I do like that. I think that. And being a separate piece, you get the whole sort of full...
Oh, look at that there. He's even better with the camera.
But being a separate piece for the head, it gives you the full sort of depth of the armor and so on around his neck.
So, yeah, awesome model.
Cool.
One of the other really cool models in this, another personal favorite of mine, is the sniper model. It's a crouching sniper, again, wearing a cape. We're seeing a pattern there. I happen to like these. And he has this weapon here. So you can see him with his sniper rifle. I think he looks just mean and dangerous. I really like that. What is this device?
That is a sentry gun.
A sentry gun. So,
yeah, so somewhere is the gun that goes
somewhere's
on top
a gun that goes on top of that.
Yeah, it's that one, I think. Yep.
So it would fit
all the way up.
Like that.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
So we'll just show you guys that there. So kind of goes on like that. And is there rules for sentry guns? They like the guns out of Aliens, so they just automatic. Oh, sold. Completely sold. Ambushes and Alien-style sentry guns. It's the end of the video. Let's go buy it. Okay, so here we have one of the Corporation Troopers.
I think he's the rocket launch guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's his arm.
So we get him on. Is it like that? Yep.
That's rocket launcher.
Mm-hmm. And we'll move them to the side because we've got yet another bag of these guys. So let's get this one open.
What's that? Use your scissors now.
I'm going to try them, but they decide to be effective this time, of course. So here we go. And these are just your bog standard troopers.
Yeah, this is a mixture of...
So you've got a mixture of torsos and legs and heads.
Yeah.
And, this will be stuff that you guys, if you've been playing miniatures for a while, will be well used to. You can create a nice selection of these troopers just by choosing legs, torsos, and weapons.
Some of them have got heavy rifles. Some of them have got assault blades, blade arm there, pistols and so on.
Assault blades.
There's a mixture of different weapons.
That's a massive weapon. What is that?
That is I can't remember what that one's called. It's a big gun.
It is a very big gun.
That's for keeping people's heads down.
Would that give me extra dice if I'm shooting? That's
with that? For blazing away and keeping people's heads down. It's a heavy machine gun. It's for sort of Overwatch while the other guys move up.
Okay, and then there we get a little bag of just heads and arms.
Yeah.
So again, we'll just try and show a couple of those off. It's going to be a fun evening putting all this stuff together. So, final thing that we're going to open is this little mystery bit here, which is a little bubble wrap, and we'll see who we get in that. And it is, of course, a metal character.
It's the Survivor.
Right.
No,
now, what is the Survivor, and how does that work?
The Survivor is a mercenary character.
Mm-hmm.
There is a number of mercenaries who are just sort of one-off characters, all named characters. They do different things. I'm not sure whether that's a Kickstart character or not. I can't remember now.
It might be a Kickstart exclusive, in which case I've been lucky enough to get it in the box. So if you don't get one of these in your box, nah. So, but there you have it, guys. That is a massive unboxing. And it took a while because there's a lot in it. It looks like a great game. Jake, I cannot wait to sit down with you and start playing some games of this. In the meantime, though, we've got to go and put all this stuff together and start clipping this terrain and getting our Lego terrain geek on. So, guys, thank you very much for watching. Post your comments below. Let us know what you think. Maybe you got a box of this in your Kickstarter. And if you have any questions, again, get them below and we'll try and get Jake or some of the people from Mantic to hop on and answer those questions for you. Other than that, stay tuned for some more coverage that we've got coming up for Deadzone. We're quite excited by this, but as you can tell, it's probably going to take us a little while to get this all built. Thanks for watching, guys.